you so much for having me back. If you cannot hear me, I am so sorry, and there's no way for you to respond to this because you can't hear me. So I'm glad to see that Angie can hear and Vicki can hear, so I hope that it's coming through clear for everyone. I'm excited today to tackle Social Media 201 with you. I took some of the topics that we spoke about in October for Social Media 101, some things that came up during our question and answer time, and took those and kind of ran with them for Social Media 201. I wanted to make a note that when I'm done with the presentation, we'll have question and answer time, but I also want it to be a time for you to get some of your problems solved if you have some things that you're having issues with. So if there's something you're having trouble posting on Facebook, or there's an issue that you're having, please know that if we have time at the end with the discussion and question and answer, I'd be happy to walk through those things on my screen so you can see how to manage them on your end. Thank you, Sam, so much for that introduction. You all, I think I've met most of you in person between Prevention Works and other prevention things. I am an English major, and communications has just kind of been my life for 5 or 6 years now. And I am excited to hopefully give you some more tools today to build your community and dig in with your social media and your online communication stuff. So this first part is review, and I wanted to let you know that if you didn't get the resources from Social Media 101, that PDF is available in the files section of the screen, which is on the bottom right hand side. You can download that, and that just has some of the resources that we talked about in October to make managing your social media a little easier. We did talk about having a strategy in October because that's really the best place to start. You want to know who you're talking to, what your message is, and from that you want to be able to determine which channels suit your need, depending on whether you're communicating with young people, with stakeholders, with parents. All of those communication audiences require different channels. And then the final step is just to connect and start getting your message out for people. This, again, as review, is something that I wanted to walk over because we're going to talk about Snapchat today. We're also going to talk about YouTube because both of those things were brought up in our previous prevention talks. And as we approach those two items, it's really important that your coalition has a good idea of what your goals are, who you're trying to reach, what you want to accomplish, what you want people to do with that information, because you don't want to step into a brand new channel without knowing why you're doing it. Otherwise, it's going to get overwhelming, and you're going to get some burnout. We don't want that to happen. So make sure that you stick with no more than 3 goals with your communication plan. Know what you want to accomplish and know what success will look like. If you accomplish everything you want to, what will that look like? Stick with 3 audiences. Where do they spend their time? And what do you want them to do with the messages you provide? If you want more information on that, we talked in depth about the strategy in Prevention Talks in October, and that is available in a variety of online places. I'll make sure to include it in the follow-up email. So Snapchat was something that we spoke a little bit about. If you are not familiar with Snapchat, it is an app that you use on your smartphone. It is photo and video driven. It has about 300+ million unique monthly users. So 300 million different people get on Snapchat every day. It is for a younger audience. 71% of users are under 34, and 70% of users are female. So this is a really good place to start reaching out to young women who may be at risk, or may not see your messages in other places. They might be more inclined to engage with prevention ideas on Snapchat. Users under the age of 25 use Snapchat about 40 minutes a day on average, which I had no idea as I was doing this research. 40 minutes a day on average is an insane amount of time to spend on any app. And about 1 million snaps are created every day. So you really have a flooded market. Snapchat is mostly used, for people to communicate with their friends. There are some ways to do ads and things like that on there, which we can cover in the future if you want. But I wanted to just get the basics out here so that you can use it for your coalition if you would like to. As I said before, it is an image and video-based platform. It's great for promoting awareness, especially location-based awareness. For those of you who are in communities or you're going in and doing an event in a school or something like that, it's a great way, and I'll show you with geo-filters, to entice people to share on social media, because if they are there present at your event, they have access to some cool things on Snapchat that they wouldn't have access to anywhere else. So we're going to talk a little bit about geo-filters, and I don't remember who it was, but someone suggested, and the last time we got together, how cool it would be to have a face filter that demonstrated the effects of methamphetamines or alcohol use or something, and that is a fantastic idea. If anyone wants to pursue that, I think what you would need to do is find a good graphic designer to design that geo filter for you. And that would be great. Can you guys still? Okay. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen here so you can see as I walk through this process. We are going to walk through building a GeoFilter together. And this link is in the link section on our Adobe Connect page, which you cannot see right now, but you'll be able to see it later when we start chatting a little bit. So it's just geofilters.snapchat.com. And it's very simple to use, and I can say that because I did it the other day and had no problems. A lot of people just use the pre-built ones they have. If you wanted to just use one of the ones that they've already built, you can completely do that, and it would still look great. You could brand it. You can upload your logo. You can do all kinds of things. But what I'm going to do, since we have National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week coming up, I'm going to design a GeoFilter that we could use for that week. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add an element. And please excuse my messiness, because I do not clean out my my downloads or Dropbox more than like once a year, and last year was not good. I'm just going to upload the PNG file for the National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week logo. And the difference between a PNG file and a JPEG file is that PNG files, as we call them, typically don't have backgrounds. So you see how there's no like white behind here. It's just like a nice, clean, hovering logo. That's why we want to use a PNG file. So the second thing to note on this is that GeoFilters, the reason they're called GeoFilters is because they are specific to a location. And the bigger the location, the more it's going to cost you. The one I'm going to do today is under $10. So I'm going to add some text. Say, know the facts. And I'm just going to leave it this color, but you can change it to any color that you want, which is very cool. And then once it's on there, we can move it around. And I'm also going to add another text bubble with, you could add the school name, you could add the event name or location name. Let's just say, I'm just going to put Wichita, Kansas in here, because all right, you see it's right up here. We can change the size a little bit, and I'm going to put it down here. Now the thing about a Snapchat filter is that this goes over a photo or a video. So you can see that this top part here, it says it may be cropped on shorter devices. So I wouldn't put anything up there in case someone with a smaller screen is wanting to use it. And then a photo will be back here. So we don't want to cover up the main part of the screen. We want to keep it pretty clear and open. And so with that, I'm just going to go to next. And it's going to load. National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week is the 22nd through the 27th or 28th, but I'm going to do this week right here. Next. Now, if you were doing an event, hang on. If you were doing just a one-time event, you could just do it, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Let's say that we've got an event, and it's going to start at 6 p.m. and it's going to go until, we can make it go as long as we want, but let's say we go overnight. So it's an evening event, maybe with high schoolers. We're having pizza, all kinds of fun things. So we're going to make sure that it's available in the time that we need it to be. And then I'm going to do, type in my location here. And it's important to know, I looked into seeing if you could do a whole city or a whole town. There's a size limit and it becomes very expensive. So the more area that you're trying to do, the more difficult it's going to be. So I would just be very specific about the area that your event is in and make sure that it's available where you're at and nowhere else. So because we're here, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a fence. Like they said, you just hit it and it makes a little dot and it drags a line, and you click again, and this is just setting the perimeter for your geofilter. So my geofilter will be available within these several blocks. Now you can see that that is $55.23. Now, if I was having an event here at CEI, put our address in, our very specific address, and reset the fence. And I'm just going to do this location because there's no reason to do much bigger than that. I just wanted you to see the cost involved. So if you're at a high school doing an event, or you want to do this for your coalition to raise awareness around the work that you're doing, you can do a very specific location. And as you can see up here, that's going to cost me $5.90, which is perfect. It's a great way to start raising awareness because kids are on Snapchat a lot. Special Snapchat filters or Snapchat filters that are unique to a location are cool because they're showing off what they're doing. So if you had a volunteer project, you could create one of these for your youth volunteers so that they could show their friends what they're doing. You could create a geofilter for them to share on Snapchat. And if it's only $6, you're creating awareness. The kids have a fun way to show their friends what they're doing, create interest for them to, maybe tag along next time. So that was kind of a speed lesson in creating a geofilter. If you have any questions, please know that I will be very happy to answer those. Go ahead and type them in the box, and Chad is going to keep track of those so that we can get them all answered for you. Okay. Back to our slideshow. I think I'm going to have to, oh, perfect. All right, you can also, we talked about Canva last time we got together, and that resource, canva.com, is in our Social Media 101 Resources PDF, which is in the Files section. The way that Canva works, it lets you design images and such. It has a special Snapchat filter sized screen, so you can go on Canva and design something totally from scratch and upload it to Snapchat's geofilter as well if you would like. And as far as I know, there's no cost difference. They charge only based on the location, how big the location is. And I think that's it for our geofilters. We also talked a little bit about YouTube. YouTube is both a mobile app and a website that people can visit. It reaches, just the mobile app reaches more 18 to 34-year-olds and 18 to 49-year-olds than any cable network in the United States. People watch things on YouTube more than they watch things on television. 38% of users are female and 62% are male. So you get a fairly good balance, but you can see that it's more of a male-dominated outlet. YouTube has some limitations that concern me for Coalition, simply because creating video can be a very involved process. It requires more resources from the time investment of creating quality videos to the people involved in the editing and the sound quality and all of that. Consistency is vital for engagement on YouTube. If you do a little bit of research on YouTube and look at people who are known as YouTubers, they're actually making a living on making videos on YouTube. And essentially what they do is they just set up a schedule where they post once a week. And so people know to expect their videos once a week. So if you wanted to do a webcast like that, if you had kids involved who wanted to talk about something in their community every week, it could be no more than 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And you could do it potentially with a laptop. They could sit still in front of the computer and just talk into the camera. So in that way, you can do a little bit of a lower cost type thing and get some engagement for YouTube users. Some ideas that I have for resources, especially when we're talking about doing Snapchat and doing YouTube, which take just a little bit more of a time investment. Enlisting the help of 1 or 2 youth in your coalition, and giving them some creative ability to see what their peers would be interested in. Maybe they have ideas of what their community and their peers are talking about. Maybe they want to start a YouTube video and be supported by the coalition. Maybe they have ideas for places that a Snapchat filter would be really useful. I would also recommend talking to your local high school or community college media department, because there are a lot of students who are practicing their media skills. A lot of them, even in the high school level, are very talented and would be more than happy to volunteer some of their time to help you guys create some quality content. And of course, ask for help when you need it. We're always here to help give some pointers and some tips to make it a little bit easier for you in this process. We also, last time we were together, we talked a little bit about analytics. And we're really jumping through this right now, and I apologize if it's kind of fast. We will slow down here in a minute and go through any questions you may have and revisit anything that isn't clear. When we start keeping track, we really want to go back to that question at the beginning of what does success look like for us? Are you trying to spread the word? If so, you want to see how many people are sharing and liking your posts. If you're trying to get people to visit your website, you want to see how many people are clicking on your posts. There are different numbers that we'll look at to measure different areas of growth and success. We're going to talk a little bit about these 3 things, and I'm going to share my screen again, so bear with me. Okay. We're going to go ahead and, I don't think I pulled it up beforehand. I'm going to go to my Facebook page, to the Kansas Prevention Collaborative page. And we're going to, if it loads, we're going to do this. And it will load, because the internet's magic. Here we go. All right, we're going to look at the Kansas Prevention Collaborative page, Insights. And we talked about this a little bit the first meeting that we had together, but it was very brief. We kind of flashed through what a Facebook page looks like. But if you go to your coalition's Facebook page, up here at the top are all of the tools that you need. If you click on Insights, this is where you're going to see how people are interacting with your content. And all of that is measured just in numbers. You can see that from December 27th to January 2nd, we had 12 page views. We had 2 page previews. We have reached 685 people from the 27th to the 2nd. Page views is when people actually come visit our page, but that doesn't mean they're not seeing the posts we put out. So that's why those numbers are so different. People see the posts in our timeline. And then between December 27th and January 2nd, we've had 90 post engagements, which means there were 90 people who liked or clicked or shared the posts that we had put up for them. If you scroll down just a little bit, it'll say your 5 most recent posts. But I always want to see all the posts because 5 only gives me just a tiny little idea of what's going on. And I like to look at a month at a time. And what I do is I just make a spreadsheet with the date and what the post was about. And if you click on this preview here, it will give you some more details. So this is the post that I had today. 19 people were reached, nobody liked or commented on it, and 1 person accessed Prevention Talks through this link. All of these have that kind of data behind them. So this is our Happy New Year post. 316 people saw this post, 25 people interacted with it, there were 20 likes, and 9 post clicks. So these are the numbers that I keep track of. I want to know who saw it and how many people interacted with it. And then I want to break that down also and see how many people actually clicked through on it. So if I was sharing, this particular post is not linked to anything, so they're not visiting our website or anything. But if they were clicking on a different kind of post, like this one right here, which is for National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week, we can see 238 people saw this post, 3 people liked it, and 2 people clicked on it. So 2 people actually clicked on this post and went to see what the National Drug and Alcohol Facts Chat Day was all about. So these are the numbers that I keep track of. And like I said, I just set up an Excel spreadsheet. I put the date in one column, I put the subject of the post in another column, and then I keep track of people reached, likes, comments, and shares, and post clicks. And that gives me the ability to look back over a full month and to see what posts got the most attention, which ones were more successful, which ones are less successful, and start to just see how the data trends these things. So if I discover that it's really unsuccessful to share a link with no image, I'm going to make sure that I have an image every time I share a link. For example, this right here is a shared post. You can see up here. So what this means is that we shared it from the National Council for Behavioral Health's Facebook account, which is great and wonderful. But historically, shared posts are seen much less than original posts are. So if you really want something to be seen, what you would do instead is click through on National Council's post, go to their website, and then copy and paste that link and make your own post about it, because those are typically more successful. As you can see, that one had 61 people who saw it, and then this one where I did that, I pasted in the link and wrote our own post, was seen by 238 people. So that's like 4 times as many people who saw this post. So the important thing when you're talking about analytics, and before I continue, the analytics are, the measurements are pretty much the same across all social media accounts. So whether you're using Twitter or you're using YouTube or you're using Facebook, these numbers are the same type of measurements. How many people are seeing this? How many people are clicking on this? On YouTube, they'll tell you how many people are watching the video, how much of the video they're watching. Even Facebook will do that. If you post a YouTube video, it will tell you the majority of people stopped watching at the 5-second point, or the majority of people stopped watching at the 30-second point. So it gives you an idea of how your content is landing. And as we all know in prevention, data is king. And keeping track of these things will help us to be more effective and to use the techniques that we know resonate with our community. Wichita will have a very different taste in social media than Great Bend or Garden City. And for each of us in our communities, it's important to just pay attention to how people are responding, what's more popular, what's most shared, and to make sure that we package our messages in such a way that they're able to digest them easily. Let me go ahead and there's one more thing that I wanted to show you as far as the analytics goes, and it's the tools that we talked about are Buffer and Hootsuite. And I'm going to sign in here. I'm not really sure what I'm going to find. Oh, hang on. I'm not going to sign in here. Yes, I am. Okay. If you use one of these sites to post, one thing you're going to be able to see is your analytics all on one page. So you'll be able to scroll through everything you posted on and see how many people looked at it, how many people mentioned it, how many people clicked on it, and also the potential. And that really just depends on who you're asking and how many friends you have on your social media site. But using either Hootsuite or Buffer can make it a lot easier for you to see the data related to your social media accounts. Let me switch back over here to our PowerPoint. One thing that I do want to note as you're keeping track of your analytics is to be patient and give it time. A lot of times it takes like 6 months or a year to really establish yourself and your voice as a coalition. And the key is consistency. Don't give up, even if there's one person who likes every one of your posts and they're the only one. There are techniques that you can use to continue building and spreading awareness, and make sure you tell everybody about your Facebook page. If you know people who like to check into places, you can let your coalition members know to check into your meetings. Consistency really is key, and you'll start to see changes in growth after you have about 6 months to a year's worth of data. You're also going to have a much better idea of what's working and what isn't. So if you do Twitter for a year and you still only have 12 followers or 20 followers and it's really not helping, that's an opportunity for you to take that energy and to put it on something else, to focus on another outlet. So there really is no wrong way to approach this, the analytics portion. Just consistency really is key. Like I said, I keep track of our data in an Excel spreadsheet. That's a very simple way to do it. There are ways, as Chad put there in the chat box, that you can export your data from your Facebook page and your Twitter page, and it's usually fairly easy to see. It's just an export data button, and it either does it in a PDF or a CSV file, and a CSV is a type of Excel spreadsheet. So you can always do it that way as well. The only issue that I find with that is that typically you're getting more information than you need, and so it can be a little bit overwhelming. So experiment, figure out what works for you. We are running out of time. I was going to run over Facebook ads really quick, and I'm getting the okay to go ahead and do that. So we are going to just, this is going to be like a speed session of Facebook ads. And again, I know I'm hammering this in, but it's so important that you know your audience, you know your message, you know your goal, know what you want to accomplish, and then when you start doing ads, know your budget, because you don't want to be pouring money into something that's not effective. When you're starting with a Facebook ad, you really can just start with $20 or $10. Your reach will be based on how much you spend, but for community coalitions, you're mostly going to be trying to reach people within your community. So it's a very small geographic area, and will save money that way. So some tips before I show you actual Facebook. Facebook ad images must be less than 40% text. This is an odd rule, and I'm not sure why they have it, but I do know that if it's even close to 40% text, it will get caught up in the bot machine and they won't approve it, and it will just be a mess. So the less text, the better. If you can do an ad with like a cool picture and just your logo, or a cool picture and just one small slogan, that's a great way to do it, because you can put text in the description of the ad, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute, but you'll be able to give some details without putting them on the image. So yeah, don't no more than 40% text. That's a very arbitrary number, so think 10%. Let's just go with 10% text, and then it won't get caught up in the machine. If you start a Facebook ad campaign and you're not getting results, cancel it. and try something else. It's very important to make sure that your audience is set really well, and so there may be an issue if you're not getting results that the audience wasn't set well, and so if you cancel it, then you can start over, and whatever you budgeted, whatever you paid for it, it won't eat up that extra funds. So you can apply those funds to another ad. Again, with the analytics and the data, use your analytics to discover what people like. On the Kansas Prevention Facebook page, people love quotes. They love quotes with pretty backgrounds and inspirational messages. And that's really typical. Those are the kinds of things that you want to share with your friends. So we, try to do at least 2 of those a week. Those get a lot of sharing, a lot of spreading around. And the way that I keep those branded is I just slap our website on there. If you have a good logo, you can put the logo on there as well, so people know where it came from. But at least put your name, your coalition name on there. And that way, as people are sharing, they see, oh, this is a really great Winston Churchill quote, and it was shared by Live Finney County or whatever your coalition name may be. Also, stay focused on the goal. Know what you want people to do with this information. If you're just putting information out there arbitrarily and there's no real call to action, there will be no way to measure success. So you want there to be are you wanting them to sign up for your emails? Are you wanting them to come to meetings? Are you wanting them to donate? Are you wanting them to volunteer? Know what your call to action is so that you know whether or not you've been successful by the time it's over. I'm going to stop sharing again and go back to Facebook. Thank you all so much for your patience. Now all of you know what my Facebook page looks like and the things that I see. Welcome to the inner workings of my internet world. Come on, here we go. All right, so there's a couple different ways to do ads on Facebook. You can set up an ad account, or you can do something that I call, or they call, boosting your post. So if you have a really cool post, this is an easy way to go about sharing information with people. So we've already done this post. It looks very good. It's very pretty, but we cannot share this as an ad. Can anybody tell me why this would not be a good ad? It's a beautiful image and it's wonderful, but it's more than 40% text. So the trick to that would be to have this beautiful image and just this top part, trying to quit smoking in 2018, and then to put all of this information in the description down here. And that way it wouldn't get caught up in the Facebook robot. So I'm going to go down here and find another post, maybe it will load. I think this even has too much text, but we're going to go ahead and go for it anyway. So I clicked boost post there. Let me do that again in case nobody saw that. I'm going to click boost post right here at the bottom right hand side of the post. Okay, it says this has a high proportion of text, so it will let you know. So this is too much text even. Like I said, the less text the better, but we're just going to walk through the motions here and do it anyway. So I need to choose the people that I am targeting. So I'm going to look at my audience here. And we want to do all genders. And we can do ages 13 to 65. And let's do, I'm going to X out of Kansas because we don't want to do the whole state. Let's do Wichita, Kansas. So we're very specifically looking at the 25-mile radius here. And it looks like I'm going to need to make it a little bit broader. So we're going to include people who are, this gets very complicated, and this is part of why Facebook ads can be a little bit difficult. But once you establish an audience and you know the people that you're trying to reach, you can just fly through this part. Let's say I want to do, I'm looking for like high school teachers. So I'm going to look at employers. This is being a little bit finicky. Yeah, job title. So I'm going to click on people who have high schools in their job title. So that would be teachers. Let's look at people who, let's see, we can talk about law enforcement because they're one of our stakeholders. And when it says over here interests, this means that they have law enforcement listed in their interests. So it's not technically an employer or anything like that, which, we can click on it. There's just no real guarantee that we're going to reach the precise people that we want. Let's see. Let's do teens in fashion. We're just going to start, we want to get everybody. So the Cars. Did anybody listen to the Cars? My mom used to listen to the Cars. I know all of their songs. Okay, so you guys see what I'm doing here. It's a very time consuming, at least the first time. The reason I put cars in, I'm thinking like shop, like young men who are in shop class and would list that among their interests. Welding, people who are in sports, high school sports, high school football, high school basketball, high school volleyball. You can go through here and put them all in, and eventually that will get you to this green area, which is where you want to be. You don't want to be too specific because then you won't reach very many people, but you also don't want to be too broad because then it's going to reach all kind of people who are not interested in what you're doing. Let's do social workers because that might... Oops, Master of Social Work. I'm trying to get it big enough so that I can show you guys how it looks after. Let's do this. Add a location. Let's do Kansas as well. And okay, well, it doesn't want to do that right now. Let's do save. So we have our audience right here. You could also, if you're wanting to reach out to people who like your page, and their friends, those are really easy to do. You don't have to go through and set up an audience for that. So we're going to put $20 in. And then you can choose for how long you want to run the ad. Depending on how much money you spend will depend on how many people it reaches every day, but you don't need to spend a large amount of money to really get it out there. So for an ad, say if you were talking about a community event that you all were going to have a table at, you could run it 2 weeks prior. You could run it like for a week the month prior and then run it again for a week right up before the event. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And a lot of it is experimenting and seeing what works for your coalition. You put in your payment amount and you just click boost and it will finish it up for you. It will go through the Facebook robot and it will post it for you. So that's a really easy way to do the boost. If you are wanting to do a larger audience, you could do the whole state of Kansas, you could do regionally, just depending on what kind of message you're trying to get out there. Can you clarify that for me?
There was a question asked earlier, Kayla, about the difference between boosting a post or creating an ad. Mm-hmm. Is there a difference in Facebook with that?
There is a difference. Creating an ad is a bit more complicated, if you can believe it. And I think that that's something that we'll just need to dedicate. Maybe social media 301 can be all about placing ads, because you can place ads on Instagram, you can place ads on Snapchat, you can do it on Facebook. It's a little bit more responsive, whereas this is, I had issues with the audience and it was just being a little bit finicky. When you set up a Facebook ad account, it enables you to put ads. When you're scrolling through your timeline and it says this is a sponsored post, it enables you to do that. It enables you to do those little ads in the sidebar that show up after you've done an Amazon search for woolly socks, and it just, starts generating all of these ads for woolly socks. It enables you to do a lot of different things that boosting a post won't let you do. Using Canva to create these images is a really good idea, because they have like a Facebook post size that is preferred by Facebook ads. In order to get the right aspect ratio, which is just fancy language for the size, to make sure that the image is high resolution, that there's not too many words on it. So we will put a pin in our ads conversation, and we will dedicate an entire Prevention Talks to discussing how to place ads sometime in the future when it's something that y'all would like to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. I know that was really just a very fast run through. This is just a little bit of review as I wrap this up. We talked about hashtags, using them sparingly and placing them within the text of the post. Shortened links in Twitter using Bitly, and if you're not familiar with Bitly, that resource is in the Social Media 101 Resources PDF. I also showed you how to delete links in Facebook posts after the preview has loaded, so that your Facebook posts don't come with a really long, messy link. That is all review. Thank you all for bearing with me, but I have some of the questions that you asked here, so I'm going to start. Snapchat, how do you get followers? Don't the kids have to add us to their Snapchat? Yes, you will have to get followers. So if you have kids in your coalition, this would be my idea. If you have kids in your coalition who know about your Snapchat, they will connect with you. They can start, telling other people about the Snapchat. So you want to make sure if you're using Snapchat, your goal is to reach young people. So make sure that your content is really engaging. Don't be afraid to use funny filters or those voice changing videos. If you're going to make an announcement about a volunteer opportunity in a tiny bunny rabbit voice, that's a really great way to do it if you're trying to reach, those middle schoolers and high schoolers. And then they can start sharing the filters that you make. They can start telling their friends, it will spread from there. So hopefully, in your coalition, you have a few youth who come, and you can start with them. You can also, create your Snapchat, start posting stuff, even if people don't see it, and make sure. I did include, this is a tangent, I included a lot of resources on how to use Snapchat in the links, and I'm going to change the screen right now so you can see over here in the web links. There's a Snapchat tricks and hacks and a Snapchat geofilters link, which is the link that I showed you. In the tricks and hacks, it shows you how to make sure that your videos don't expire. So if you start creating content now and kids follow you 4 weeks from now or whatever, they'll be able to see all of the stuff that you've posted. I would also recommend just starting to talk about it. If you have a Facebook page, say, hey, check us out on Snapchat. If you have flyers or you're doing an event, make sure that people know that you have a Snapchat, and they can send you Snapchats of the event and those kinds of things. Young people love to share what they're doing and what's going on. So as they come to events, you can always say, hey guys, don't forget to Snapchat about this, so your friends can see the really cool work that you're doing in your community. And it's very validating for them, and it's also a good opportunity for you to get the word out. Let me see these other questions. With iPhone's new motion photos, how do those work within YouTube? Can I still retain the motion? I actually don't know about that. I think it would depend. YouTube is just an outlet that you post your videos to, so you don't actually use YouTube to make videos. So I think that whether the iPhone images retain their motion would depend actually on what system you use to build your video before you put it on YouTube. If you have a MacBook, I would assume they'd be a little bit more compatible, so those motion pictures might be saved in a file format where they would actually be motion pictures on your computer and you could include them in the video that way. A lot of Mac users use iMovie to make videos. I use iMovie to make videos. So it would be an experiment. When you find out what happens with your new motion pictures, let us know. You're going to be a pioneer in that area.
I think that was Rachel mainly.
Rachel.
That question. Awesome.
Thank you for that question, Rachel. So this is a good time if you have any questions about or things that you're encountering in your daily use of Facebook or Twitter or email or website or anything like that. If you have any questions or thoughts, this would be a great time. You can just let me know and I'd be happy to answer those for you. Also, if I was unclear, if I talked too quickly through some of those presentations, because I know that it went really fast. So, also,
I was just wondering too if there are coalitions or task forces that are on the line that have had some experience with social media and using Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, and just what the response has been from youth or other coalition members.
Yeah.
You can type in your experiences in the chat, and we can talk more about that later too.
Mm-hmm. And if you are using currently any of those outlets and you want to share those, the links to those, that would be great, because then we can follow you and we can share your posts and things like that. We share things from ACMAT and SEC, DAT. Scadat. When we see them. So we love, making sure that we get to share your posts as well.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody today for sharing their ideas. Prevention Talks is for coalitions by coalitions, so we plan future episodes using your input. Another way you can make sure that the monthly Prevention Talks episodes are meeting your needs is by asking you to click the link called Session Evaluation. If you look on the bottom of the left, you might need to scroll down to the very bottom of it, and there's a feedback today. Click on that and please give us your feedback and give us any ideas for future ideas or topics you'd like to see discussed.